There's no other way to put this. It really is bad news. I wish the title was clickbait, but it's not. According to the Government Office of Accountability, nearly half of all Americans age 55 and older have $0 saved for retirement. Now, admittedly, a little less than half of that half, so 20%, those folks do have a defined benefit plan. So of the 49%, 20 percentage points do have a defined benefit plan. So they do have a cushion, but remember, there's three legs to the stability of our retirement stool, our retirement chair. And those three legs are, some people are gonna have a defined benefit plan. Most of us are not. So there's really only two legs for most of us. And the other two legs are Social Security. And we know Social Security, we're gonna talk more about this in a little bit, but Social Security is not the healthiest. So a lot of our retirement responsibility falls on us. So having retirement savings is important. So 49% of all Americans age 55 and older have no retirement savings. We talked about the 20% that do have a defined benefit plan. What about the other 29%? You know, the good news is some of those folks do have a home. 35% of that 29%, so roughly 10 percentage points of people 55 plus, own their home and have no debt on it. Again, of that 29% slice, the 35% own a home and have no mortgage. Another 24% have some debt. They own a home and they have some debt. But the rest of that group has no retirement savings and they have no home. So it really is not good news. And unfortunately, I've got more bad news to share. Let's go for a walk, lighten up the mood a little bit as we talk about other things. And don't worry, I'm going to end with what you can do. I'm going to end this on a positive note. So first off, what is the Government Office of Accountability? According to the Congress's website, it is the investigative arm of Congress. So it's a legitimate group. This is not some radical think tank that's trying to scare us. So what about Social Security? You know, there's a group of trustees that are charged with running Social Security, and Janet Yellen, the Secretary of the Treasury, chairs that group. And Janet Yellen recently put out a report, as the trustees of the Social Security do every year, and she shared with us, unfortunately, that the current funds in Social Security will be sufficient to pay all the benefits from the funds, from the incoming taxes, until about 2034. The previous year's report said it was good to 2035, so that's decreased by a year, so that's not good news. And then once those excess funds that Social Security has now, once that gets depleted, the incoming taxes, according to Janet Yellen, according to this report from the trustees, will be sufficient to fund 77% of the benefits. So it's going to go down from 100% of the benefits to 77%. Now, if you're getting Social Security, do I think your benefits are going to be cut by 23%? No, I don't. And if you're like me, where you're maybe 10 years away from Social Security, plus or minus 2 years, I think we're going to be okay as well. But, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know. Since I was a kid, we've been trying to fix Social Security. In fact, before Ronald Reagan, and this is not a political statement, hold with me here, until I believe it was 1984, under Ronald Reagan, none of our Social Security payments that we received was taxable. And under Ronald Reagan, they said if your total, what do they call it, combined income is under $25,000, before Ronald Reagan, none of your Social Security was taxed. And then 1984, I believe it was, Congress passed and Reagan signed into law that 50% of your benefits could be taxed. And you know what? Whatever that limit is, that has never been adjusted since 1984. And then whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, there's something for all of us to hate in this. And then under Bill Clinton, which I believe was 1995-ish, they said, you know what, Above another amount, 85% of your Social Security can be taxed. So there's a 50% threshold where half of it's taxed. There's an 85% threshold where 85% of your Social Security would be taxed. So those are really the two things that the government has done in an effort to shore up Social Security. Is it enough? No, it's not, unfortunately. I wish it was, but according to this trustee report, we've only got funds sufficient to pay 100% of the benefits until 2034, which, as I record this, is only 10 short years away. So the time for kicking the can down the road has passed. And we're going to need to do something in the next decade. I don't know what that's going to be. In fact, 66 million Americans rely on Social Security, either as a retiree or because they're disabled or for other reasons. So that's a lot of Americans, right? It's about 350 Americans in the United States. So that's a lot of us that depend on Social Security. So I think we have to do something. I know we have to do something. What we're going to do, I don't know. But I'm not an alarmist. I'm not one of those people that say, you know, we're not going to have Social Security. But getting back to that half of Americans that have no money saved for retirement, right? As you saw, 20% of those folks have a defined benefit plan. So they have something. But you know what? That's probably going to be a pretty thin retirement. Of the 29% that don't have defined benefit plan and they have no retirement savings, remember 35% of those folks own a home with no mortgage on it. So let's call that 1/3. So 10 percentage points of that 30% own a home. And I know a lot of folks that say, my home is my retirement savings, but you know, maybe, you know, if you live in New York City and your home is worth $5 million, maybe. But I think that's a risky strategy, and I think almost everybody watching here sees it as a risky strategy, because even if your home is worth $5 million, are you going to sell your home? You might, and move somewhere else and buy a $500,000 home? Maybe, and then you have plenty of money to retire. It's not personal financial advice. I don't know your situation. But I think all of us can agree that having no savings and being 55 years old, that's a scary situation. If you find yourself in that situation, I recently did do a video that's called 50 and Broke, and what to do if you're in that situation. And then I have another video that I want you to think about watching. If you've saved some money, if that's not your situation. So again, 50 and Broke. And this video down here, which talks about the first 100,000 being the hardest to save and what to do after that. I'll see you in one of those two videos. Thanks for watching this one. Bye-bye.